Shalom. First, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. This is from RT News. It was published today. All right, another one. Take the jab or lose your job. Okay. Medical Journal calls for a mandatory COVID vaccine, says non-compliance should incur a penalty. All right, and one possibly as severe as losing your job, which we did a video on what they're saying in even just looking at this, it doesn't even look right. Man, seeing that disturbs me. Okay, I hate needles, man. But what they're doing in the UK is basically they're saying no, and that's what they're calling it, the jab. Okay, no jab, no travel. And here they're saying what? Well, let's read the article. With the U.S. population half the U.S. population reportedly unwilling to submit to an experimental COVID-19 shot, a new scientific paper has shed light on how state health authorities might enforce compliance with vaccine mandates. Published in the New England Journal of Medicine on Thursday, the paper outlines strategies for circumventing widespread fears over the safety of a rushed to market vaccine against the novel coronavirus, providing health authorities with a playbook of coercing a skittish populace, man. Basically, the option of not taking it is not it's not in their book. It doesn't work. All right. So they're giving you conditions, they're giving you stipulations, they're giving you circumstances. All right. But the option of not taking it, they're not trying to hear that. Okay. And just like they do everything with gradualism, they're going to start making it very, very difficult. Okay. Putting the squeeze on you. All right. To do things that you normally would do. So it says the writers acknowledge that voluntary measures should be tried first. Once again, gradualism, rather than mandating the vaccine for everyone out of the gate. However, if the target population doesn't comply within a trial period, a mandate should be rolled out, and the penalties for refusing to submit should be harsh. You hear that? So, you not taking the vaccine is not an option for them. It says, given the cost of a failed voluntary scheme, the writers warn, authorities should wait no more than a few weeks before rolling out a mandate if uptakes fall short of expectations. So they say they roll out the vaccine, right? They see, all right, are people taking it? Are people not taking it? Oh, okay. Within a few weeks, okay. Now they start to bring mandates. All right. So let's say a week or two later, people are still doing what they're doing, not taking the vaccine. Boom, they come out with a new law. If you don't have the vaccine, you know what I'm saying, you can't get on public transportation. You can't take the MTA. You can't take subways. You can't take buses. None of that. Okay. Then maybe a few days or a week later, boom, if you don't have the vaccine, you can get fired from your job. Such and such. You can't go to school. And it just keeps going up from there. You can't, you know what I'm saying, you can't go to the store. You can't enter public spaces. Next thing you know, you can't leave your house. Next thing you know, you can't be in your house. Okay? It says, the paper says six substantive criteria must be met before a COVID-19 vaccine is imposed by the state. A federal body, the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, must greenlight administration to certain groups of the populace first, and only recommended groups should be considered for a vaccination mandate. You hear that? Only recommended groups. And who's at the forefront of this? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. High-risk groups should be given priority on that list. All right, you now understand why it says in Second Esdras, all right, that there shall be a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. Okay, high-risk groups, and who do you think they're gonna say the high risk are? Okay, yeah, they might throw elderly and stuff in there, but okay, elderly among what nation of people? It says the elderly health professionals working in high-risk situations or working with high-risk patients, persons with certain underlying medical conditions, and majority of those people are who? Us. All right, or you Israelites. And people living in high density settings, such as prisons and dormitories. Now, who lives in dormitories? Oh, right, college students. Interesting. Okay, So they would consider you high risk. And what does that mean? They would put you at the priority of the list. That means if there's a vaccination mandate, it goes to those that are at the priority of the list, and those would be considered who? High risk people. And an example of high risk people would be people in prisons, people in dormitories, but they're not going to stop there. All right. High density, they could simply, which they've already said, they could simply deem, okay, any house with only one bathroom, all right, and there's more than one person living there is considered high density. It says, as well as active duty military service members. Whoo! So you're in the military, getting that jab. Should be ordered to get a jab as soon as health officials are confident they have a sufficient supply to cover these groups, the paper suggests. Rather than attempting to pass laws requiring certain populations to get the vaccine, the paper recommends that non-compliance should incur a penalty. Now notice how they work, okay? This is how they work, man. They get the same goal using another means, all right? It's like saying, okay, instead of saying true, I'm going to say not false. It means the same thing, all right? It just looks different. So what it is saying is that, okay, we're not gonna give you a law that says you have to get the vaccine, but we'll put laws that say what happens if you don't get the vaccine. You see how that works? We're not gonna tell you that you need to, get out of this area, but we're just gonna make it very uncomfortable for you to be in this area. So in other ways, we're gonna get what we want. That is how they're gonna play with it. They're gonna keep squeezing it indirectly. They're gonna force you. Okay, fine. We're not going to tell you you have to get the vaccine, but just keep in mind, if you don't get it, you can't go to work, you can't go to school, you can't get on the bus, you can't go to the store, you can't go to the hospital, you can't even be in your house, you can't be in a neighborhood, you might end up in a FEMA camp. So all these things are what? Forcing you, okay, or another way of saying, yes, you have to get the vaccine. All right? So it says, and a relatively substantial one, and that's that penalty. The non-compliant should be threatened with employment suspension or stay-at-home orders, which is self-quarantining. So basically, what they did for the for nations and for cities, they would target only specific people that don't comply. You don't want the vaccine, you can be suspended. They could come out and say, well, we're not going to allow you back to work until you get the vaccine. Soon they're going to say, well, we're not going to keep paying you, or we're not going to keep you hired if you're not working here, or if you're not physically here. So what's the point in then next thing you know, you're fired? Or stay-at-home orders. Now here's how that could go. Stay-at-home orders means they're telling you to stay home. But how do they make sure that you're actually following those orders? And what about those who don't follow those orders? See, that's something you got to go into. What happened? Are you gonna remove them and force them somewhere that you can make sure they're there? It's as though fines or criminal charges are discouraged because they disadvantage the poor and risk getting the mandate itself challenged in court. Worse, they may stoke distrust without improving uptake, it adds. Whatever they do, authorities should avoid flaunting their relationship with vaccine manufacturers. The paper recommends a tall order, given that President Donald Trump's Operation Warp Speed vaccine development initiative is helmed by Moncef Slaoui, the former head of pharma giant GlaxoSmithKline's vaccine division, who had to quit the board of directors of Moderna, a front runner in the vaccine race, to take the job. Slaoui notoriously was forced to offload over $10 million. Okay, that's not the part I'm really interested in. Okay, it says, for the non-high risk groups, the writers suggest authorities encourage voluntary uptake using means such as public education campaigns and free vaccination. So let's say they say, okay, and just using basic terms, right? Let's say black people are high risk and white people are not high risk. For white people, you know what they'll do? In their neighborhoods, they'll just promote it and offer free vaccines. For black people, they're going to come there with force and basically force you and squeeze you indirectly to take it. That's the difference between high risk and, regular people, as they would put it. All right, but I didn't know the virus discriminates. It says health officials have been hard at work conducting focus groups on which variety of influencers might best conceive the American people to embrace what would be the quickest vaccine rollout in history. The standard uh, timetable for vaccine development and approval, complete with post-shot monitoring for side effects. Hold on, post-shot monitoring for side effects. All right, and this is why I love going through these articles because you can really pick out their words. Post-shot, post meaning after. So the after shot, okay, after you get the vaccine, they're gonna monitor for side effects. How are they gonna do that? If I get the vaccine and I'm in my house and I don't want to come to the hospital every week or every other day to come check how my vitals are doing, what can you use as a means of checking for side effects? Okay, you could say, well, we'll have an app that will have options on there, and you tell us which one you're experiencing. But what about the detailed, micro level things that are going on in the body? How do you tell, what's going on? How is the body reacting to this? You might need some form of means of being able to tell that, because how are you going to monitor? Or we'll wait and see what they come out with. It says it's 10 years or more. It says and what kind of emotional tone the message should take. All right, give me 1 second. All right, so it says a Yale University study conducted in July evaluated messaging strategies including guilt, economic benefit, trust in science, embarrassment, and community benefit to measure the effects on not only confidence in the vaccine itself, but how willing the participants were to persuade others to take the shot. So they use these as a means of seeing, okay, if I guilt trip you, or I give you some economic benefit, or I push the aspect of science, or I embarrass you, or whatever it may be, will you be willing then to persuade others to take the shot? Okay, or can we use this as a persuasive means? It says, and how much they feared or looked down on those who had not received it. The results of that study have not been published. And that's another thing. People are going to look at you as though you are the virus. Because there's going to be some indication that the average person can use to tell if somebody has received the vaccine or not. So if you don't have that indication, that certificate, whatever it may be, you will be looked at as an outcast. People will look at you with, they wouldn't want to get close to you. All right. They're not going to want to associate themselves with you. That's another aspect. It says the authorities of the NEJM paper hail from Yale, Stanford University, and Indiana University, all institutions that have received funding from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The foundation has poured billions of dollars into developing multiple COVID-19 vaccines, setting up 7 facilities to manufacture the leading candidates, while the US, UK, and several other countries have already paid for hundreds of millions of doses of multiple jabs. Oh boy. No Western pharmaceutical company has yet declared victory in the vaccine race. On the contrary, the clinical trials for frontrunners like AstraZeneca and Moderna have yielded a bumper crop of troubling side effects. Yeah, like the lady who said that they killed God and she couldn't feel she couldn't feel God anymore. She getting her VMAT2 gene was gone. Her God gene, all right, her zeal. They basically try to take that away. It says fears about the rushed rollout of the vaccine, coupled with both Republicans and Democrats' determination to turn the jab into a political football, have convinced a majority of Americans that they don't want to be among the first to get vaccinated. Well, if nobody wants to be first to be vaccinated, then how who's going to be vaccinated? They're gonna use means, all right, of saying, you know what, if you don't want to volunteer, we're gonna start calling names like a professor does in class. They ask a question, nobody answers, so then they start calling names. It says a poll conducted earlier this month suggested that less than half the country would take the shot. So that means over 50% are saying they're not going to take the shot. It says even if they were paid $100, and polling shows the portion of Americans willing to take it has declined steadily since May. And this is why they're going to need to come with conquest. All right, they're going to need to come down with great wrath. All right, as it says in Revelation 12 and 12. Okay, now this is I believe 2 Corinthians 2 and 11. All right, it says, this is 2 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. All right, and these are a part of their devices pursuant to Micah 2 and 1, that they plot upon their beds, and then they make it come to pass. Prepare for them to hit you with those threats, with the embarrassment, with the the psyop, the mind games, making you feel like you're crazy for not taking the vaccine, making you feel like it's safe, making you feel like you're doing the most, just not to join everybody else. Well, the scriptures say, follow not a multitude to do evil. Okay? Making it harder for you to do whatever you want to regularly do. They want to frustrate people who don't have the vaccine, man. Okay? So prepare yourself, man. Because it will be a trying time for all of us. But guess what? Those of you who stay faithful to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, when this is the trial of Esau. All right? But when the Lord brings the true trials, guess what? He's going to give us exemption. All right? So with that, I hope you were edified. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachah, Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.